Okay, recording has started. I think you all got the message. Um, so before I start, I will jump directly to the topic. Don't see any PowerPoint today, and there is a very good reason for that. My 11 months old baby had his first fever last night, and we didn't
Oh,
know what to do. So obviously nothing special, but as new parents, we immediately booked some. We called our doctor and said we're coming today as Notfall, and we had to wait and wait until it was our turn because it was in the Notfall. And then all the meetings and all the days were pushed ahead, and I really didn't have time. I mean, I'm still at the office. Look, it's
yeah, I
somewhere
can
there.
see.
Yeah. So I really didn't have time to actually do anything more than presenting the meetup.com page. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because one of my screens is blank now and they're not black now. And I don't know why. But anyway, I will continue without seeing
Mhm.
anything. I hope it's recording. So, nevertheless, this is an event about the preparation for a Microsoft certification. It's really cool, and actually, it's a really cool idea to have more meetings like this one, finding experts of each field and doing at least the fundamentals. And then let's see, after the fundamentals, maybe that series of certifications, maybe we can start with a bit more advanced, the two-star certifications,
Mhm.
let's say. Uh, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I will organize the .NET Conf here in Munich. Right now, it's kind of loose. The idea is there. I talked with Microsoft, of course, and everything is arranged. But I don't know if it will be in which so it will be a real life event, but
Uh-huh.
not a virtual. I'll see if I can make it a hybrid. We'll see the offices. There are a couple of months more ahead, so you will hear more about that. Yeah, I think Jackson, you can start.
Okay.
As I
Yeah.
said,
Let
I
me
am recording.
share my screen then.
Yeah, and just a note, I've said that I'm recording, but I didn't say that for whatever legal reason. I have to say that if anyone disagrees and sees his name or whatever, then contact me and I will blur you out. I will remove you for the feed. Okay?
Okay. I believe you can see my screen. Is that right?
No, I don't.
No. Oops.
Can you try
Okay.
again?
Yeah. Let me share it again. Yeah. Now can you see?
Yes, now I can see your screen.
Okay. Now let me just go to full screen. Can you still see full screen?
Yep.
Okay. That's good. Uh, okay. That's great. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining this session. It's going to be a busy 1 hour where I will cover all the exam preparation if you're looking to pass the SC-900 exam. And especially if you have been working already in IT but never done any security exam, or if you are now starting your journey on the Microsoft security, and then I would say that's definitely is a good start for you, where Microsoft, I will give some more information, but it's more a good understanding. The first part is a good understanding about the cybersecurity in general. And then the second part is more about the Microsoft products used to implement cybersecurity. Yeah, let me just go quickly here. Yeah, I'm Jackson Felden. I'm working as a cloud security consultant for a company called Avanade. I'm here based in Ireland, and then my day to day is pretty much implement complex security projects from Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud, all the Microsoft solutions in some enterprise clients. And then as part of my kind of day to day, I'm a Microsoft MVP on security in Azure, and then I just kind of share whatever I'm learning on my day to day with the different communities out there, like the community managed by George. And thanks very much, George, for the invite. I'm happy to be here. If you're not connected, yeah, I would love to connect with you. If you just search for Jackson Felden on LinkedIn, you should be able to find me. As part of my MVP and the kind of sharing my knowledge with the community out there. I have a YouTube channel where I do my best to, as I said, whatever I'm learning, I'm recording some videos. I have a full course on the Defender for Endpoint available for free for anybody. And a part of Defender for Endpoint, I have other videos as well about Azure AD, lots of things about security. Yeah, it would be great if you want to have a quick look and subscribe my channel in there. Okay, let's dive straight into the agenda. First of all, I have one single slide where I want to show the exam format, especially if you've never done any other Microsoft exam. I just want to explain how everything works. If you have done other Microsoft exams, it's going to be a kind of quick review, easy part for you. And then, as I said a few minutes ago, the first part is a key, let's say, key security concepts, as you know, for example, the zero trust and some other models I will explain. And is important to know, not only related to Microsoft, but related to the whole cybersecurity world. This is part 2. And then on part 3, is going to be all about Microsoft. What are the main products from Microsoft available in order to kind of, implement security on data, implement security on endpoint manager, security on data centers, and so on. Okay, and here I will talk about compliance, identity, security, and different things as well. And then the last one, just to kind of to measure if you guys are kind of ready or not for the exam, I brought here, I can't remember, 5 or maybe 10 questions. Of course, the questions are not exactly like the exam, because that would be it would be illegal, and of course I don't have those questions, but some really good questions close enough from the real exam. And then by the time I go over those questions, if you kind of are able to pick the right answer, that's brilliant. It's a good indication you are kind of getting ready or could be ready for the exam. Okay, I have a few links in here I will share with you maybe now in a few minutes. The first one is, here is the link for you to activate the whole Microsoft SC-900 course. Of course, I'm kind of, doing a shrink. I kind of managed to shrink some of the most important concepts, and I will explore on the next 1 hour. But if you go over the whole course, is I think about 5 or maybe 6 hours. I will do my best to bring the most important information on the next hours. And then before the exam, this is a must for everybody. Please make sure you go over those 50 sample questions just to see exactly where you are, and then to measure if you need to study a little bit more before doing the exam, or if you are ready to go. If you never played, if you've never done any Microsoft exam, there is an exam simulator where the interface is pretty much the same as a real exam. And then if you are new into the business, I would advise go there, play with the interface, and then when you go to sit the real exam, at least there is no surprises where you need to click, where you need to, what you need to do, because you have played with the interface already. And then I have some other resources as well here, 1 hour recording I did before, another book here for you, and some other things I will share, that maybe I could do now, just otherwise I will probably I will forget. If I just go here, hopefully I can do that on the chat box. Yeah, and then maybe later um, George can add on the YouTube as well. Yeah, I think then everybody has the information there. Okay, that's good. Now, if I just go back, let me minimize here. Okay, that's great. Anyway, Microsoft split the whole content in 4 main, let's say 4 main areas. The first one is, as I said before, is a kind of overall concept about security, compliance, and identity, not really only for Microsoft, but a kind of overall way they measure. And then the second one is more related to the Azure Active Directory. And actually, now Azure Active Directory, I have a slide for that. It was renamed, I think, last month to Microsoft Entra ID. I'm not too sure on the exam if the questions are still over Azure Active Directory, or all the questions they have been updated already for Microsoft Entra ID. But anyway, I have a slide, and whatever the words that come, you will know after this presentation. And then finally, I will at Microsoft measure all the how you can describe the Microsoft solution for security and then the solution for compliance. I will present both at the same time. And then, of course, if you do a bit of research, if you go to the Microsoft page, you can find those things, from here. Actually, I took the latest one yesterday just to make sure I had the latest. And as you can see, the exam was updated now last month. Yeah, 1 month ago on August 7th was the last time Microsoft updated the questions. Anyway, as I told you before, if you've never done any Microsoft exam, just please pay attention the type of questions you will get. If you've done some Microsoft exams, and then you can relax a little bit because whatever is on this slide, you are already familiar. The first one is the single answer, whatever is the answer Microsoft is looking for. As you can see, the checkbox here, you can pick a single answer. If you have selected B and then you change your mind and select C, basically, the B will be unmarked. Very simple, pick the right answer and, move on. Some other questions, you need to pick two different answers. As you can see, let's say in this case could be, what are the two, I don't know, the two Microsoft solutions to protect devices on-prem and devices on the cloud, for example, very open question. And then in here, you need to pick Defender for Endpoint and Defender for Cloud as well. It's not a big deal because if you try to select three, Microsoft pop-in screen will appear saying, oops, you are not allowed three, you must select only two. Again, no stress at all. Quite a lot of questions in regards to drag and dropping. Usually you get, an area on the left where you have, in this case, some Microsoft products, Azure and Endpoint and so on. And then here on the right, you have a brief description, and then you need to read the description. Oh yeah, this is related to Defender for Endpoint. Just drag and drop under, the right place. Oh yeah, this one here is related to, I don't know, Defender for Cloud. Just a kind of, literally drag and dropping question to match whatever are the elements from the left to the elements to the right. Again, not a big deal. And another one that became very popular, at least for the last few exams I've been doing, I just calling here the yes or no question. Basically, there isn't a statement, somewhere. There isn't a statement here on the top, and then based on that statement, you need to see if that is real. Sorry, if it's a yes or no. In this case, oh yeah, you should set a path rule instead a hash file. Sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. It matches with whatever is here on the top, and then select yes, or if that doesn't match, and then is no. It's like a true and false, question. There you go. These are the questions, okay, you will face when you are about, to do this exam. Before anybody asked, is around the exam. This exam here is around 40 questions. I think when I did my exam, it was exactly 38 questions. But I would say, get ready for anything between 36 to maybe 42 questions, okay, in total. But when you start exam, you will see. Yeah, I think somebody is with a mic on. If you could mute, yeah, it would be great. Yeah. Okay, and then and then the pass mark, if Microsoft hasn't changed, and that has been the same for, I don't know, for the last 20 years probably, is 70%. Okay, if you get 40 questions, we can do a quick maths. But some questions, they have more points, the other one. Maybe a simple question like this, could be, I don't know, 10 points. In a question like maybe this could be 20 points. But again, nobody knows how, the way it works. Anyway, that's just the 1, 2, 3, kind of, 4 different type of questions you will get. And before we dive into the technical stuff, again, if you've never done any exam, this is the real question, the interface. Okay, you get here the question, and then in this case is a single answer. Let's say this is the right answer. On the top right, you will see how much more time you have. If the time is actually, I can't remember if it's 1 hour or maybe 1 hour and a half. Okay, let's say if it's 60 minutes, the countdown starts 60, 59, 58, and it comes down. Here is the place where you can go ahead or go back. The good thing is, maybe you are in question 5, you are not too sure about question 5, then you move to question 6, and then from question 6, it kind of, triggers something on your brain regarding question 5. Yeah, no problem. You can just go back and then change the answer. If you are not too sure, what I would advise, let's say, oh yeah, I have no much clue about that. I would say pick the best guess. Okay, let's say B, and then what you can do, you can click on review later, as you can see in here. Okay, just mark that option as review. Okay, as in here, review later. Why? Because then you don't miss time. You can, just make sure you are moving forward. And then the good news is this. At the end of the exam, when you kind of, finish your question 40, for example, you will come in a question, in a kind of, dashboard like this. And then you can see what are the questions you answer, the questions you didn't answer, and the questions, very important, this one here, you marked for review. And then it's great because if you still have 20 minutes, you can say, okay, that's fine. You could push the button in here to finish the exam, but because you still have, let's say, 20 minutes, you can concentrate and then visit or revisit the questions you were not too sure. Now you have time, maybe you have a different thoughts, and then you could go there and say, oh yeah, actually this is my best answer. Or you could say, oh yeah, now after reading all the questions, B is wrong, actually A is the right one, and so on. Okay, some people, they think the best, let's say the best guess is always better, but again, this is, depends your style. Okay. Anyway, for the guys who are new into the Microsoft exam business, this is the interface. And then as I pasted the link, I would advise you to play on the sandbox just to kind of get familiar with all the buttons in here. And then when the exam come, you are kind of ready to go. Anyway, that's a short intro. Now let's dive straight into the kind of the key concept when it comes. The first ones are not only Microsoft, they are kind of open security concept, and then the other ones we will dive into some Microsoft products. The first one probably you came across already. Zero trust. Okay, zero trust is not a product, is not a Microsoft thing. This is a model or a framework. Okay, where the idea is whatever the system you are implementing, you should focus on all the elements. This is from Microsoft to do zero trust on identity, endpoint, data. All of those 6 pillars, and then every time when there is an action, there is, the system will verify explicitly. Okay, it means if I'm connecting from Ireland, okay, the system will identify, let's say if I'm based in Ireland, my request should come always from Ireland. If they don't come from Ireland, a red flag is goes up, and then the system could block my access or at least, alert something is not really, really great. Use the least privilege access. Of course, this is not new. It means I don't need an admin account to read my emails, to read maybe 6 hours a day emails. And then on the next hour is the time where I do some heavy configuration. As I will tell you in a few minutes, Microsoft has some products or something called PIM, where I can enable the permissions I need only for a time frame, only for 20 minutes or maybe for half an hour and so on. And then after that, the additional permissions are reverted back. And of course, I never can say, oh, no, yeah, nobody will ever be able to breach my company, to hack us, and so on. It's better to be ready. If something big happens, you need to have the process to recover, to analyze, and so on. These are all in regards to zero trust. If there is any question, most likely they will be related to these three elements in here. Okay, and because the recording will be available on YouTube later on, yeah, feel free. I'm kind of a bit high speed in here. Feel free to stop the video, do a bit of reading and so on, if needed. Okay. There is something else called, again, in general, defense in depth methodology. Again, I'm not going to read, everything, but these are the main pillars where you need to pay attention. The first one is, of course, physical, very basic. Make sure all the servers, the main routers, the main switches, they are saved in a locked place in a data center, in a server's room, and so on, and nobody, really have access. And to access anything, you have a trusted and well-configured system to control all the identity and access. And then you have, different ways to control the perimeter, where you have, multi-segment. We have servers facing internet, other devices not facing internet, and all of those things as well. And when it comes to data, we can have a mechanism like the Microsoft Pure View, where the system can detect automatically any sensitive data, and that sensitive data can be automatically encrypted. If anybody brings a USB and steal those files, they are not going to work, because you need to be a part of the organization. You need to log on using an organization ID, otherwise you don't have access. It's pretty much what I've been talking to Zero Trust. We have here the 6 pillars from Microsoft. Here is pretty much the same story. It's not all about firewall. It's not all about data. It's a combination of all the layers that need to be protected in your organization. This is called, defense in depth methodology. Part of that as well, Microsoft has something called Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure, and I'm not going to explain one by one. Kind of, some really good guidelines, especially for organizations migrating from on-prem to the cloud. And then when it comes, oh yeah, we have everything in the servers in our data center. Now we are migrating to Azure or Amazon AWS. And then, of course, some of the resources, some of the security concern, like user identity and so on, they are pretty much the same. But when it comes to physical access, the networking layer, of course, now in the cloud, everything is different. And then Microsoft has different, let's say, documentations and the whole approach companies should follow when they are migrating all the work loads from on-prem to the cloud. This one here, guys, is not too complicated. I think I can bet a few euros you will get a question related to that. Is in regards to the kind of management and security responsibilities for all the layers. Okay, probably you are familiar. The SaaS is a software as a service. Here I can say SharePoint online, Exchange online, Teams online. They are all examples of software as a service. PaaS or platform as a service is like, I'm a developer. I created my own software, but this software will run from Azure. And then, I'm doing kind of a split work in here. And then we have the infrastructure as a service, where, let's say, the virtual machines are in there. And I have, the opposite, on-prem. Then, very simple. If you look here, if all my work is on-prem, as you can see in here, it means I am the responsible to keep everything under control, starting from the physical servers, from the cables, from the switches, absolutely, as you can see in here, all the layers. But if I have, for example, some virtual machines running on Azure, and then the good news is the first 3 layers, this is not my problem. This is Microsoft. They need to manage the physical security, the VLANs, to make sure the clients, they can't see data from each other and so on. And on the other story, if I jump to the last one, SaaS, And then is even a better news, because pretty much everything is Microsoft responsibility when it comes to have the operating system, do the patching, do the, if needed, the restarts of the, whatever are the backend things. And then I look after only the very top information here, including the data. Okay, again, not too complicated, but make sure, take your time for you to read it, to understand. Just from starting, SaaS is the best one because Microsoft does most of the hard work, and on-prem is the worst one because we need to manage everything ourselves, because it's in our, let's say, premises, all the server switches and whatever is running. Kind of not too complicated, but anyway, it's good to know. Okay, again, not going to read everything in here. Very important, the Microsoft privacy principles. Okay, as you can see in loads of Microsoft documentation. For example, no content-based targeting. It means Microsoft, different from other competitors out there, Microsoft never uses any customer data, our names, our email addresses, and whatever the information we are saving on Microsoft to do any marketing campaign and send emails and do any advertisement for us as well. When it comes to security, very important. Yeah, everything when is on Microsoft Azure or Microsoft 365, even the Microsoft engineers, they don't have access to our data because the data is our, as a customer, and everything is encrypted. There are some variations in regards to, for example, Azure VMs. You can use encryption key, let's say, available from Microsoft, or you can have your own encryption key. There are some different levels you can configure, but of course, Microsoft is doing a really great work when it comes to keep our data safe into the, whatever the data center or the Azure and Office 365 infrastructure. Okay, again, please make sure, okay, after this 1 hour presentation, to go into the link I made available to review some other concepts. But based on my experience and talking to other people as well, these are some kind of basic but very important concepts when it comes for the exam. Now, okay, let's pause for a moment into the kind of overall world, and now let's do I would say deep dive, but a good dive into what Microsoft has available in terms of security and compliance. What are the tools? And guys, please make sure you get ready. You must be ready to understand, for example, what are the security features available from Defender for Office 365? What are the main elements available from Defender from Cloud App? And so on. There are so many Defender, let's say, products available, and Microsoft will ask you some key questions where, oh yeah, this is Defender for Endpoint. Oh yeah, this is Microsoft PureView, and so on. I forgot to tell you, of course, don't worry, guys. In this exam, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to know how to configure Defender for Endpoint. You don't need to know how to implement Defender for, I don't know, identity and things like that, because this is a fundamental exam. This is more a kind of, pre-sales level. You need to know the product. You need to know some of the key features, but of course, you don't need to do a deep dive and understand every single little thing, how it works. Okay, it's more a overall understanding of each product. Anyway, let's dive into it. The first one, and guys, that can be a little bit tricky. Okay, when I did this exam, of course, it was all about Azure AD. Okay, but Azure AD, I think last month, if I have a good memory, was renamed now for Microsoft Entra ID. Of course, it's a little bit all over the place. Some documentations, they are still talking about Azure AD. Other documentations, they are already talking about Entra ID. And then what I want to say, guys, is be ready for both, okay? Whatever the question you get, Azure AD, sorry, or Microsoft Entra ID, and then it's pretty much, the same thing from the kind of, exam point of view. Very important is to understand, okay, under that kind of identity, There are different protection level we can enable. Starting with the first one, in these days, probably you are familiar. Everybody, every single organization should implement multi-factor authentication. It means every time when I'm logging in addition to my username and password, I should be able to provide something else. Maybe my fingerprint, maybe face recognition, maybe an additional code or so on. Okay, that's to remediate 90, if I have a good memory, 99.9% of the problems related to identity can be remediated by multi-factor authentication. Okay, very good chances for you to get a question on the exam. The next one is the conditional access, really nice for real life. It means when a user is connecting to the system, okay, I want to read my emails, I want to surf on SharePoint, I want to, work with Teams, whatever the Microsoft things. We will configure some pre-defined conditions, for example, because Jackson is based in Ireland. Okay, Jackson only can connect Office 365 if the request comes from Ireland. If the request comes from any other place, Jackson will be blocked straight away. Or maybe Jackson needs to do a multi-factor authentication. When Jackson is working from home, maybe not, but out of work, out of Ireland, and then Jackson needs to do that. Okay, there are different configuration we can set, and then every time the user is about to access or connect a resource, the system does a verification. If things don't look great, block it straight away or ask for some additional information. Really good. Windows Hello for the exam straight away, guys. If you come across any Windows Hello, especially for business question, is all about the biometric login. Okay, if I'm logging in using face recognition, fingerprint, or PIN, or whatever are the other resources from kind of biometric point of view, is related to Windows Hello. And then the questions can come from two ways. They could say, oh yeah, you need to enable, you need to increase the security, the authentication security. You want to implement face and fingerprint, biometric elements. Which element you should, or which feature should you configure? And then the answer is going to be, Windows Hello for Business. This one here, guys, very important, very common, especially for enterprise organizations. Privilege Identity Management, or PIM, is the following. As I quickly told you before, I don't need to be a global administrator to read emails, maybe 5-6 hours a day. And then with PIM, I can say, okay, George, sometimes George needs to be a global admin to make some changes on the Defender portal or the Azure portal, or whatever. And then it means George in the morning is a normal user, a basic user. When George needs to go and do some configuration, he goes to the Privilege Identity Management from Azure. From there, he needs to enable or actually activate that feature. He can set, oh yeah, I need that for 1 hour or for 2 hours or 8 hours and so on. And then for the next 1 hour, the system opens a window where George is actually a full global admin or maybe security admin and so on. After 1 hour, that role is reverted back, and then George is again a kind of basic user. Okay, very important. Anything in regards to do the other very important few words for you to remember is just-in-time access. This is very important for the exam. Anything you get in just-in-time access is related to PIM, or Privilege Identity Management. There are something else as well. Very nice, the security default. It means, especially if you are starting a configuration from the scratch with Microsoft Microsoft 365, you have now some devices into Intune and so on. What we can do is, instead to go enable multi-factor authentication, enable some, the users need to reset the password every 30 days, and maybe it's going to take a full day of configuration. If you know what must be configured, you can just go there and enable the security default And then Microsoft will enable for you those key security elements to bring your company from a basic configuration to a much better, much better place. Another thing related to the Azure ID, Azure AD, is the Azure AD password protection. Okay, this is the just to avoid, people in using some passwords, let's say swapping maybe letter S for the dollar sign, and to avoid people using some basic passwords. For example, I don't want any of my employees having words like Avanade or maybe Dublin or Ireland or Germany, or we can have a blacklist where nobody can use those passwords that are blacklisted by me, apart of other controls. Every time when you come across anything regarding to hybrid identity, okay, hybrid identity from the exam point of view and real life means you have a on-prem domain controller, server 2012, 2016, with all your users, and these users are replicated to the Azure AD as well. Okay, and then we have identity on-prem, identity on the cloud, but there is a replication where I can see the same users, the same passwords, and so on. Okay, this is the idea between hybrid identity. And actually, this guy is the piece of, let's say, software. Azure AD Connect actually is the component you need to install in your domain controller or any other virtual machine to control all the replication between your domain, users, groups, devices, and so on, in the Azure AD as well. Okay, the next one, again, just a high level. I can't remember too many questions or any question about that, but it's good to be ready. The Azure AD B2B, it means business to business, means, let's say I have a company called, using Microsoft stuff, a company called Contoso and another company called Fabricam. Okay, maybe Contoso bought Fabricam and now they want to work together. They want to allow the users to be able to check the schedule availability when moving, when booking meetings, and do a more. They still are two companies, two different tenants, but they want to start integrating different things. Yeah, then we can do that using the Azure AD B2B, where we kind of link the two Azure AD tenants to bring loads of benefits. For example, allowing users to check the other side availability, giving permissions, and the other things as well. The next one, Azure AD Identity Protection, very important, very important. This guy here can automatically detect some, as you can see here, identity-based risk. Okay, and this is a combination between different things. Let's say Jackson used to work, or let's say Jackson day-to-day pattern of working is working from Dublin under this IP. Usually his login come from a single device, single public IP in my home here, for example, and so on. And then eventually today is a bit weird. There are things coming from Germany. There are requests coming from Australia. There are requests coming from I don't know, Japan, and so on. That user will be flagged as a high-risk user and then could be blocked straight away. Okay, thanks to the Azure Identity Protection, let's say, component. Okay, this is really cool. Other thing, if Microsoft keeps scanning the dark web to see if there is any Azure AD identity for sale into the dark web. And then eventually, if they find Jackson at contoso.com, let's say that's my organization, for sale in one of those databases, Microsoft will flag this user for me straight away under the Azure AD, saying this is a risk user because is a leaked, yeah, this name, leaked credential, okay, because it's for sale. Really good. And then the whole, authentication and authorization. Authentication is, the place we provide the username and password, and maybe the multi-factor authentication to get in. And then when I'm logged on, the next step is, of course, to do all the authorization. Every time if I try to connect a SharePoint, page or so on, then Microsoft needs to check if I have permissions to connect that. Okay, Anyway, kind of, busy enough slide, but these are the sort of things you really need to know for the exam. You don't need to know how to implement PIM. You don't need to know how to implement, Azure AD, but you must understand the kind of high level concept. And please, after this presentation, is it still a good idea for you to go and have a look into the link where you can see all the book, the documentation for that. Yeah, here just to, some more information. Microsoft basically packed all of those Azure AD, now Azure ID, Azure, oh my goodness, Entra ID, and packed into a combination of different tools to kind of elevate even more the whole security. Okay, it comes with Azure AD and then all the permission management. This is a huge kind of challenge for the organizations to not give more permissions that is needed for anyone to execute the day-to-day tasks, and then the Microsoft Entra can help with a set of different tools working together, can help improve in that. Okay, that was all about kind of, identity. The next one, very important, and please make sure you have a good understanding about the key features of each of the elements from the Microsoft Defender family. They all work together under the extended detection and response from Microsoft. Or on the exam, if you get anything, coming from XDR, it means extended detection and response. Let me do my best to give, let's say, the core information, what you need to know when you come across any questions about those guys. First of all, the Defender for Identity. The first thing you need to remember is a component you install into your on-prem domain controllers. If you have, let's say, 6 Server 2016 running as a domain controller, you install a component, a piece of software in there to analyze all the authentication and all the signals coming into those domain controllers, for example, to identify if there are some applications doing logon on those servers, but the password is not encrypted, is a clear text. From here, you will see if some old authentication protocols are still enabled in your organization, or organization like the NTLM is a very old protocol. Anyway, the Defender for Identity will give you will point out all the bad things happening around authentication on-prem. The next one, Defender for Cloud, straight away, what you need to remember is first is Shadow IT. If you're not familiar with Shadow IT means all the unauthorized applications your users, could be using in your organization without your knowledge. For example, people are saving company data into their Gmail account, into the Google, storage, into Box or Dropbox, or all of those things. First of all, this tool will analyze all the communication happening in your organization and point out all the apps your users are using, the SaaS apps, Box, Dropbox, all the applications you can see. And then from there, you can do some controls to say, company data are not, users cannot save company data into the, non-company Microsoft storage. It means if they try to save on Google, Dropbox, or so on, they are not allowed. Okay, that's very, very important. Another one, easy for you to remember for the exam, Defender for Office 365. Straight away, what you need to remember is all about email protection, anti-spam, anti-spam, antivirus for the emails, safe links, and safe attachments. Every time there is an email with an attachment, Microsoft stop the email, get attachment, move to a sandbox, open that file, test that file to see if there is no, the file is not compromised, and then eventually, release to the user. Safe links, every time when there is a link in a Word, Excel, email, Teams, any Microsoft tool, if there is a link, when the user clicks on the link, Microsoft stop the user, goes after the site, do a quick verification of the site, and then allow the user to connect if the website is not compromised. These are the key things you need to remember. And then Defender for endpoint is all about endpoint. It means servers, workstations, mobile phones, tablet protection. Okay, antivirus, EDR, exposure score, protection. Everything is based on this tool. Okay, a full AV plus a lot of things to elevate the security on devices. And then, guys, the next one can be a little bit tricky. There is something called Defender for Cloud, but under Defender for Cloud is a whole solution. Under Defender for Cloud, we have all of these variations, and then I'm not going to explain one by one. You can guess, Defender for Storage is, additional tools and malware detection and stuff to detect any bad files on Azure Storage. The Defender for SQL Server, to detect any malicious query running on SQL Server on Azure or on SQL Server servers as well. Anyway, then there is a bunch of variation. What you really need to know for the exam to remember is this thing here, CSPM. Okay, the Defender for Cloud is used to provide cloud security posture management. Okay, this piece of this bunch of softwares working together will point out exactly where you are when it comes to what is your security score on servers, how good or bad you are on your storage, on SQL Server, and so on. It's a kind of bird view in regards to all the security components on your cloud service. Okay, please remember CSPM. Okay, this is a little bit tricky, but again, you need to remember, if you have a subscription to test, okay, I would advise this to surf around. These are the main portals to control all the implementation and the scores from security and so on. The first one is the Microsoft 365 Defender. Okay, this is the security.microsoft.com, the endpoint manager. Okay, this is the place for you to manage all the apps, deploy apps, remove apps, all the Intune configuration is done from here. Anything regarding compliance, okay, very easy to remember, compliance.microsoft.com. And then, I got on my exam something like this guy here, the Security Trust portal, where you can go and find all the, how could I say, all the compliancy certification Microsoft has for everything, for GDPR and for all the local other countries as well. You can find, okay, from here. Again, later on you can pause the video and just read again, do a bit of research, but these are the main portals you need to be familiar when doing the exam. Yeah, here is the same, just some additional information. Anyway, because this one here is one of the most important, the security portal. And as you can see in here, I can see what is my overall security score. Okay, getting everything, all the security components, where my organization is when it comes to, to security. And then under here, I can, maybe from here, I can see here is the place where I do all my endpoint management. If I have Defender for endpoint, here is the place where I manage all my Defender for Office 365. And here is a place where I manage all my Defender for Cloud app. Okay, that's brilliant, because I go to a single portal, security. As you can see in here, security.microsoft.com, and then from here I can manage multiple Defender applications from the same place. Okay. Anyway, let me just see where I am. Oh yeah, we are getting there. I just want to have a bit of time to review some questions. Very important, okay, very important, not only for the exam, but for the, if you are managing your day-to-day security, and for the exam, you need to understand there is a security score. Okay, the security score is the overall score, as I was saying, for all the different security elements. And then there is a specific score only for identity. Okay, and here I can see, not too bad. 89.29 is really a good score for identity. There is another score for compliance. Okay, if you have enabled all the elements to detect sensitive company data, and you have the policies to block any user trying to save sensitive data into a non-authorized devices. All of those things are, in here. Very important. We have the exposure score. Every time when, if you are not let's say, updating all the applications, everything, SQL Server, operating system, Google Chrome, Acrobat Reader, anything, when you are not updating, of course, Microsoft detects vulnerability on those old applications. And then if you don't update, you are going to have a bad score like me in here. 44 is really, not great. And then there is a specific score for devices. Okay, again, this is depends all the updates I've done on those devices and all the configuration for applications, OS, networking, security controls, and so on. Anyway, really nice, because different places will give you different scores, and then from here, any organization can see how good, or how the configuration actually is implemented when it comes to the benchmark from Microsoft, and we will tell you what must be improved in order to bring the score to a better place. Okay, two more slides for some bits on Azure. I forgot to tell you guys, this exam here, when it comes to Microsoft, there are two big blocks. One block I just finished is the Microsoft 365 security, all the Defender, Azure, Entra ID, and all of those things. And the second block is Azure. Again, Azure is such a monster, but a few things you need to know for security are the following. Okay, what's the main difference between firewall and NSG, or network security group? Start with this one here. This one here, guys, is a basic filter. Okay, from here I can filter, oh yeah, I don't want my users, I don't want anybody connecting my VMs on Azure from any public IP, only from my VPN, private IP. I don't want to allow anybody from outside to connect via RDP, or port 3389, or I want to block my servers and going out to the internet. But it's basic filter. You can filter IP, ports, and as if I have good memory, that's pretty much it. Source, destination, IP, or port, and that's it. If you're looking for a proper firewall where you can block application, you can block, SOC connections, and IPS, and so on. And then, of course, this basic stuff, doesn't do for you. You need to install and pay a proper firewall where you have more control and more security from there. Again, you might get some few questions. The next one, very important, is the Azure Bastion. If you have a few virtual machines, of course, we can connect those virtual machines on Azure using RDP straight away, but and then you need to download the client, you need to put the IP address, you need to use the default port, and so on. There is a better security where I don't need to use the RDP client. I can connect via page. I just go to the web, to the Azure portal. From there, via web, I can open a connection into the server, and is safer than just do RDP. And then you have here, a few other things. The Azure Blueprint. Basically, this is a set of package where when you deploy a configuration, they come with the controls you are looking for. Instead to deploy a VM, then deploy a network security group, and then deploy a virtual network, and so on, and then set the configuration, you can use Blueprint to deploy everything in a safe way, kind of, straight away. And then, of course, we have the security baseline, sorry, as the name suggests, even After doing the deployment using Blueprint, where you have the package, you deploy in a good configuration, but and then the baseline will measure if your configuration is in a good standard, when it comes to security. And this one here, probably don't need to explain. Let's say if you have resources on Azure and those resources are internet facing, it means anybody around the world can connect those resources. Yeah, we should use Azure DDoS protection to kind of remediate a massive DDoS attack that your devices could be facing. And then the last one, okay, we are a little bit late, sorry for that. The last one to kind of put everything together is Microsoft Sentinel. Straight away on the exam, if you get any question about Sentinel, you need to remember two things. First is the security information and event management, or SIEM. Let me explain that one first. It means I don't want, when I'm looking for alerts, I don't want to go to my firewall, check the alerts, go to my proxy, check the alerts, go to my SQL Server database, check for the alerts, go to my antivirus, check the alerts. I don't have time, and it's not efficient to go to maybe 20 different places to look for the alerts. What we do, we have a Microsoft Sentinel, or we have a SIEM at the middle, and then all the systems, okay, all the systems, they send the alerts to a single place. My firewall, my proxy, my antivirus, my whatever, all the elements will send the alerts to a single place. That's brilliant, because now I have a single place where we can, collect all the information. We can detect anything that, is not looking good. We can do a deep dive investigation, and we can respond with that as well. And part of the respond is the security orchestration, automation, and response. For example, if I have implemented that, if I have my, I don't know, 5,000 devices, and there is a ransomware activity that's is a nightmare for any organization. When that information is added, the events start arriving into my Microsoft Sentinel. Sentinel will detect a ransomware, and then from there, thanks to the automation, we can isolate, we can kind of remove from the network whatever are the devices affected by that ransomware. Could be 10, could be 50, could be 1,000, depends where the ransomware, what's the stage in that moment. Okay, please remember, anything regarding Microsoft Sentinel is a Microsoft Azure component, where all your security components will feed the information using the SIEM, and then when the information is there, you can go to extra mile and implement some automation to not delay any, let's say, serious response the organization should take in a kind of attack. Anyway, okay, sorry for the high speed. I can understand it's like loads of information for a few minutes. Please make sure you go and do some more study on that. Just before we finish, I'd like to show, I think, five questions, what you should expect, okay, when doing the exam. Before I forget, everybody, George, if you could double check on the links I save. Guys, for me, it's very important, when I'm kind of delivering this session, to get a bit of feedback, and then I can share with Microsoft as well. One of the link is a session survey. If you have, let's say, please do, 1 or 2 minutes after this presentation, if you could go there and provide your feedback. Doing that, I'm able to send a course completion badge. Okay, it's not a certificate, but, for the guys who are filling out the completion survey, I will from tomorrow send the completion badge, and then you can post on your LinkedIn or add on your CV, or whatever you want to do. Okay. I would say, before you disconnect, please make sure you add your thoughts in regards to this presentation. Okay, let's get ready. Let's go for 5 questions. Okay. First one, I will give you a few seconds for you to think. Okay, the zero trust model operates in the principle of trust no one, verify everything. You need to implement zero trust model in your organization. Which two options are the guiding principles for the zero trust? Actually, there were three, if you can remember from what I explained, but here the question is asking for two. In the real exam case, yeah, you would have, the boxes in here for you to select any two, okay? Anyway, the right answers, sorry, okay, the right answers are A, verify explicitly, and B, assume breach. Okay, the other ones, yeah, they are related to security, but not related to zero trust. Okay, these are a really close question. Actually, you might get something really similar on the real exam. Let's keep moving. Okay, which is the most cost-effective Azure service that can be used to filter the traffic to Azure virtual machines? Okay, you want to protect, the virtual machines on the server, and then probably what you are thinking is, okay, firewall or network security group. Both are correct, but the catch in here is what is the most cost effective? It means which one is the cheapest one. And because we want to do only filter, okay, I'm not, looking for any fancy control, the right answer is absolutely is C, okay, a network security group or NSG. Okay,
Okay,
interesting enough. Yes.
I've I was okay with the first two. Let's do that to make it more interesting. From
Uh-huh.
now on, I will answer before you say your answer. Let's see if I how many I will manage to get up until the end.
Okay. And yeah, guys, the thing is, yes, some questions can be really tricky. Okay, really tricky. And then yeah, you need to be ready. Okay, let's go again. A company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. The company documents are stored on SharePoint sites. You need to encrypt the documents that contain credit cards and numbers. What should you use to encrypt the documents? Yeah, I think I haven't explained. This is part of the compliance thing. I haven't really explained, but this is in the course. Okay, this is why, in addition for this presentation, there are some more study you should do. But anyway, not sure if you came across anything like that.
I would say B without having.
B, okay, let's see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Throughout the Microsoft PureView, okay, PureView is the solution, is the license you need to pay. In there, you implement a sensitivity label, and the sensitive labels can detect different contents from your organization, and then you can set, oh yeah, if you find credit card details, and then kind of encrypt to avoid any leaking of that information. Yeah, okay, George. Yeah, good one. Next one. How, kind of tricky, not too difficult, but can be tricky. How many authentication factors must be presented by a user after you enable multi-factor authentication in Azure AD?
I I would say at least two. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
the
George, I
normal
think you can book your
authentication.
exam for next Monday. Yeah, you
Okay.
are flying. That's right. Yeah, true. At least could be username, let's say password, and fingerprint or face recognition or a PIN or things like that. Okay, let's see the last one. Oh, that's a good one. You want to restrict and audit an administrator's access in Azure Active Directory. Which Azure feature can you use to provide just in time in audit administrator access to the Azure resources? Oh, I explained that. Hopefully you guys can remember.
Just in time and audit administrator access to Azure resources. Just in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, first of all, you want to open a window for the next 2 hours for somebody, to do a work. And of course, we want to audit that as well. We want to know who is doing that and, for how long. What do you think?
I would say B. Privileged identity management.
Yes, yeah, well done. Yeah, that's exactly, the story about PIM. And I forgot, I'm not sure if I mentioned, because when the user, we can create a small workflow. When, let's say, George, 11 o'clock needs access, we can do the auto approval. It means George can go to the PIM portal or Azure portal and then under PIM and just activate the next, I don't know, 2 hours, and the system can allow that automatically. Or let's say George needs to put a request, and then the request goes to the security manager, and then security manager say, oh yeah, actually we have an open ticket where George needs to do that work. Okay, that's fine. And then let's say a second person will push the button to allow that window to open, and then George to be able to to do the work. Yeah, we are kind of let's try. Oh, now you saw the answer already. Just in second. Let's go for one more just to finish. Okay, the last one. You need to strengthen your cloud security posture and have a security score in comparison to industry standard. You also need to view reports and various security configuration done in the environment. Oh, that's a good one, and very likely for you to get something similar on the real exam. And then, George, are you ready? What do you think? The key.
That's not. I mean, I would say I know you can get. Yeah, I know you can get some scores with Defender, but I would say Sentinel. I'm not sure. I'm not very sure. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, no, can be tricky. In this case, the key words, the two key words for this question are the security posture. And then the let's say the product that provides security posture is Microsoft Defender for cloud. If we just go back to here. Oops, sorry, I went too fast. Yeah. Okay. Cloud security posture management. These are all under the Microsoft Security, Microsoft Defender for cloud. Yeah, I know. Can be a little bit tricky, but yeah. Anyway, guys, this is what I have planned for today. Hopefully, I know, sorry for the high speed. It was a bit, a lot of information for this last hour, but hopefully you found it beneficial. And if you are doing your exam, maybe, you can review this video one more time just in case, but please make sure you go over those links. Yeah, in here, the first one, yeah, the free course, okay, is in there. You can play with those 50 questions, okay, as well. And yeah, just to kind of make sure you tick all the boxes. I think I didn't, just a second, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot these two here. Sorry, chat.
So,
Okay.
how close those were those questions to the real thing, the last questions?
Yeah, they are close enough. But probably they are not identical because Microsoft doesn't want to give the questions and then ask on the exam. But yeah, this is to give you a good understanding how the questions look like. Close enough or very close, I would say. If you play those 50 questions, from the link I provided before, and you are kind of getting maybe 90%, 95%, and so on, when you play those questions, yeah, and then I would say you are in a very good position to go and do the real exam. If you are not getting, if you're getting maybe 50%, 60%, and then I would say it's a bit dangerous for you to do the exam, and then it would be better to review, go over. Yeah, here's the link, courseware code. Okay, just click on that link to register for the course, and then you will see all the kind of the book where you can read as well, just to kind of have a bit of more information about all the things I told you here, and some additional elements I was not able to explain because it's, let's say, we have here for 1 hour.
Yeah. So, I think at some point Microsoft changed the fact that if your organization is a Microsoft partner, then you can give your certification exam for free. And I think now it's 50% or something. So it's 50% by you're not doing anything, and another 50% it's you are giving it, something like that.
Yeah, there are lots of things Microsoft do. Sometimes let's say you buy a voucher and then you get the second shot free. It means if you do the exam and eventually, you are not well prepared, and let's say if you fail on the exam, you can do the second attempt for free. But yeah, there are. I haven't checked now the current one because in my case, my organization pay for the exam, for us to do, and then I really kind of, didn't pay attention. But if you go to the Microsoft web page, throughout view is the exam provider, and then from there you will see all the information, and time by time they do a kind of retake for free. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes there are some discounts as well, and yeah, keep your eye to see.
Yeah. Um, do you know? Do you need to renew those exams every year or every sometime, the fundamental ones?
No, I'm not aware the fundamentals. What you need to renew every year is the certification. If you are, let's say in my case, a Microsoft administrator, security administrator, the other one I have is a Microsoft enterprise device management, if I can remember. Yeah, and then I need to renew the certification once a year. But for the
The
fundamentals exam, if they haven't changed, no, you do the exam and then you are sorted.
so and you are done. Okay, so the associate and expert, I know from me,
Yes.
you need to renew them every year. I actually I
That's
need
right.
to
Those
renew
with
two
the
of
two
them right
stars.
now,
Yeah,
and
the associate and the
yeah,
expert. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah.
Then you need to
But the
renew every year.
fundamental ones don't need anything, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. At
It's
least
an
in my case, I've done a
easy.
few fundamentals. Yeah. I never had to renew them, and they are still showing up as
They're
active on
still there.
my profile. Yes. It's fine.
Mhm, mhm. Do you think it's worth? I mean, if someone wants to go for an associate certificate, do you think it makes sense to actually go first for a fundamental and then for an associate
Oh yes,
certificate?
yeah,
Or
100%. Yeah, because if you do the SC-900, you have a kind of a nice overview of all the components working together, and then after the SC-900, you can do, for example, the SC-300. And then the SC-300 is 100% about security. Sorry, about identity. And then all these things I was explaining, PIM, Defender for Identity, multi-factor authentication, all of those things are into the SC-300, but in the end is like, deep dive. You need to know how to implement the configuration, how it works, how to do the
yeah,
troubleshooting, and so on. And then if you go to the SC-400, that is data protection. Then it's all about, the things, Microsoft PureView, and so on. The short answer is, yeah, I think it's a good idea, or I'm sure it's a good idea. Do the fundamentals to have a broad overview, and then you can focus the next one into the associate, whatever the ones you want. Yeah.
yeah. It was. I mean, that's maybe personal or related to my knowledge or to the certifications, but I found more difficult the associate degree in some than the expert degree. Although you had to
Uh-huh.
have both, which make the expert degree difficult because you already had to have the associate degree. Nevertheless, the associate degree about administration, I mean, it required quite some knowledge to have like a wide range of knowledge. How would you think the associate degrees, the associate certifications in security are? Are they so demanding? I
No,
mean,
I think no, yeah, for sure. Because of my understanding, what I've seen from the exam is the associate is more. You need to know the technology and you need to know how to implement and how to maintain. And the expert on the top is more complex environment where you need to be able to design as well. On top of know how to implement, you need to know how to design a complex environment. That's the my understanding. The difference.
yeah.
Okay, guys, yeah, before you go, it doesn't need to be now, but one more time, actually, I need to drop as well in a few seconds. Please don't forget to fill out that small survey. That is going to be really important for
So
me.
it's a
And
session survey, right? This one I will resend it right now.
yes, please, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And when I post to YouTube, when I upload the video, I will also add it in the comments
Okay,
or or should
Yeah, I
I
think
not?
that's a
I
good
don't
idea.
know.
Yeah, exactly. That
It's
helps.
a
Yeah.
good idea. Okay, okay.
Always looking for, some improvements and so on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Yeah, George, thanks very much again. I need to drop. And
Of
yeah, we can
course.
talk in the
It
future
can be
again. I might
already.
come back for some other sessions. And for
Yep.
everybody who joined us, yeah, thanks very much for spending the last 1 hour here with us. Thanks for that.
Thanks for coming, guys and girls. Ciao.
Okay, ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye.